Alright, Spread Aviation Nation, this is Rob. I'm here with Major Tom Dowd, and we're at the 162nd Fighter Wing out here at Morris Air National Guard Base in Tucson, Arizona. Tom's going to take us on a little journey around the flight line, and we're going to take a look at some F-16s. Tom, you ready?
I'm ready, let's do it.
All right. It's so pretty.
This is Aircrew flight equipment. This is a temporary facility. They're doing construction on their original place, but they do everything that we wear to the jet. Harnesses, even ejection seat components, and then helmets, masks, intercom, NVGs. It's all done here. So what we have on the pilot side is we have a bunch of lockers. And at your locker you have your G suit, you have your harness, you have your helmet, and you usually have a helmet bag. But then with these new G suits, they give you, from the old G suits, they add about an extra G's worth of tolerance, endurance, if you will. So they've got, I mean, they're really nice. I think there's a top portion of it that we don't use in the F-16, but other communities do, and they are pneumatic. So they plug this into the jet, and then from the jet bleed air, they put it into the G suit, and it's metered more or less as you need it for. As you pull G's, it automatically inflates, and as you release, it deflates. And then in the helmet, there's also a bladder there as well, and that bladder comes from through here. Yeah, it comes through here from the aircraft system through the hose, and it bleeds off into that, which goes into the bladder. And then the bladder inflates and deflates as well. So
just make sure the helmet stays on nice and tight.
As you pull G's, yeah, like the helmet will sag down, and a lot of times that mask will come a little bit undone and kind of do this. So click the mask up and it'll be tight, and then as you start, you know, as you get to 7, 8, 9 G's, you know, that thing, it doesn't take much before it pops down here, and then now you're that full protection that's assumed into the whole, you know, the helmet is
compromised.
It's compromised, yep. So what that does is the bladder inflates, which helps pull it up towards your face and keeps it in place.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's genius, but you don't even realize it because you're pulling G's. If you do it, because you can have test equipment where you put everything on, right? They test it to make sure the pressures are all good and the bladder doesn't burst. And it's actually painful when they go full pressure. That G suit inflates. You can really feel it, but in the plane you don't even notice it because, you know,
you're working.
So many other pressures,
yeah.
So much other on you. So anyway, this is life support. What we do is we leave, we brief for an hour, we step out of the squadron building, and then from there we have our classified. We kind of drive a golf cart over here. We get dressed, and then we drive the golf cart out to the airplane, and we do our flight. And then we come back, we get undressed here, we go back over there, turn our classified back in, and we go to the debrief.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I want to show you this place.
That's cool. So this isn't like, you know, in Top Gun everybody had their own helmets and stuff. This is just UD gray, standard issue. Is there anybody, have you ever seen anybody that had their own helmet kind of done up, or is that more a Navy thing, or was that movies?
So we don't put stickers on helmets and stuff. That's super cool if you're in Vietnam or the Navy. But for us, we have our standard 55P that, because what, you know, maybe there's a crack or something that goes in there, and then they'll just replace the helmet. But yeah, man, and then for the night vision goggles, we'll put those on, and we'll go to this room where there's a tester. You can kind of see these brackets go onto the helmet, 2 batteries in there, a backup and a primary, and then the NVGs come out of the bag. It's 2 different goggles, and then you click it in, bring it down, and then we put it on this Hoffman tester. We test them beforehand to make sure that the goggles are working, that they're all sharp and adjusted.
That's awesome.
But, where we get dressed, and then we drive over, they drive the golf carts back across the way to the flight line with the airplanes on. This is the Airfield Management. So these guys follow flight plans to, you know, like an actual airport do that, keep the runways and stuff.
That's awesome.
This is our squadron bar, our heritage room.
I need to borrow these to build a sim pit.
That's great.
We're just walking out here?
Yep.
Okay. I'm waiting for you to cross. I'm not there.
So here's how this works. You got the red line with the restricted area. You can't break red, so you're not allowed to walk across the red line. But these white hashed areas is where you cross over.
Still waiting for you to do it first.
As you should. We have a basic L shape of F-16s with 2 rows. This is B, there's A row, and then C and D on the other side. And so each squadron has a certain chunk of the ramp that's their jets. So the jets that I'm taking you to are the 195th jets, which are Block 32s that have the Pratt & Whitney.
As opposed to the G.
As opposed, well, so all the jets here have Pratts.
Okay.
220, so they all maintain the same motor except for, I think there's a Pratt 229 down in the testing arena. And there are a couple of GEs floating around from Hill. When they disbanded the Hill Air Force Base squadrons, they sent, 4 to 6 of the jets to a couple of different locations to just help with some of the aircraft manning.
Is that a blue tip?
So
AIM-9?
these are just CATMs, so they don't have live missile engines in them, but they have the seeker head on the front where we can train to the techniques.
And so that's an X seeker head?
So there's these that don't have any fins on the front, and those are just for like weight and balance. They kind of just help balance out the other side of the jet. Some of them you can fly it with only the 1 missile on the side, but a lot of times we'll fly with 2 just to keep aerodynamically more balanced.
Do we want to put the cover on?
Yeah. Yeah,
It seems like the pitot tube came off and everything.
For anybody who's watching this, we had 30+ mile-an-hour winds over the past 48 hours over the Thanksgiving holiday. So a lot of these jets are probably missing covers.
I'm not gonna say this is impossible to do with one hand, but I'm on the struggle bus right now. Okay, got it. I helped.
Where that cover is, we'll probably never find.
Oh,
Probably right
yeah. Oh, there it is, right in the middle of the taxiway.
Yeah, unless there's more over there.
Oh.
So this place is a bit of a thawed nightmare.
Yeah.
We get back from the holiday and clean up from the winds.
Fod walk is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, so 800 knots is our max airspeed.
Okay.
So people have gone beyond 800, but obviously you get into some stability issues beyond that. And then Mach 2.04, I think, is where a lot of the charts end. It does depend on the engine. If you have some of the lesser engines, G100s, Pratt 220s, then you won't make it there. But when you get to the stronger, more modern Block 50 engines, then you'll be able to get to 2.05, and you'll have to limit yourself there emotionally to not go beyond that. Because I think there's some issues with the Mach cone. So the most I've seen is 1.96. And I think I did a 1.97. So we get above 40 of me and my wingman, and we had clean jets, so I was no fuel tanks at all. We just had fuel tank. We had no fuel tanks, just kind of like this with a couple of missiles on the rails, and we said, all right, well, we've done the research to see what it'll go. Let's see if those charts are actually accurate. Yeah. And we did our best Mach run, one long, 60-mile stretch, and then we were like, well, that was fun.
Hey, we're out of gas.
Yeah, but let me show you this plane. This one is the A9X. And,
so pretty.
And the A9X is, you can tell it's got the shorter fins on it. So, and the shorter fins on the back. But there's a number of other internal differences that make it a phenomenal upgrade to the missile. So there's 9 stations. Right now this one has a fuel tank on station 5, and then there's the 4 on the wings. So this station is fuel. I think you can also put a rack here. I know you can put a rack here because I've seen Iron Eagle. So according to Iron Eagle, you can put a MAU and a MAU, which is 2 air-to-ground station kind of, and there's one over here we can look at, but you can put bombs on this, and you can put bombs on the station next to it. But then there's this. If this is station 6, this is station 7, which is usually either or. It's either bombs or we'll put a missile on. If we need to go do an air-to-air mission, then generally what we'll do is we'll focus on putting a missile here, and we'll fly, maybe 5x1 or 4x2, where that's 4 AMRAAMs with 2 AIM-9s. If we have, if we're doing our normal self-escort where we're gonna fight our way in, drop bombs, fight our way out, then this will almost always be a MAL with bombs on it. That's our main bomb station. If you take a look at this one, so this is what we call kind of air-to-air configured. It's got the centerline tank, so we can go up to 9 Gs. This one's air-to-ground configured, so it's like 2 different airplanes. I mean, this one's only maybe 5,000 to 10,000 pounds heavier, but it makes such a huge difference. And with these 2 tanks, there's a lot more drag. There's more fuel, but you burn at a higher rate, so in the end, you end up with just a slight increase in how far you can go. You end up having to use more power to kind of push through it all. But with 2 of these, you get quite a bit of fuel. I think about 12,000, 13,000 pounds at takeoff.
Yep.
Then you can see the other stations are populated versus there where they just removed the stations to make less drag for the airplane. This one has a MAL with a TUR. This is a triple ejector rack, so there's 3 positions for the bombs. There's one here, and then of course the third one on the inside. And we'll put 500-pound bombs on those, or little BDU-33s, which are little test bombs that we do in training. Little 20, 30-pound bombs that we can clink at targets like not shooting 20 people.
Yeah. Is that the APU doors, exhaust door, inlet door?
So that's the gun. You can see there's a couple, that's where the actual chamber is. So the bullets will be put into the chamber there. But it shoots about 100 rounds a second. So with 500 rounds in there, you get about 5 seconds with the gun, is the main point of it.
And this one has a targeting pod on it.
This one has a targeting pod. So there's your Northrop Grumman lightning pod. So there's lantern pods, there's lightning pods, there's different variants of each of those, and there's sniper pods. Generally, they can cross between each other, but what we do here is we do lightning pods on the SCU jets, and then the Block 32s, and then the Block 42s will have the sniper pods, and that's generally what active duty runs with, is the sniper pod. They're both advanced targeting pods. They're extremely good at taking video and zooming in on. But this is the jet, man. It's most of them are single seat, so these are the C models with 1 seat in them. And then if you go across the ramp, you notice that most of our 2-seaters are on this side. I think it's just organization. There's no particular use to it, but they've got a bunch of the D models over there. And we use the 2 seats to fly in the back seat of guys on their first landing. The first couple flights in the jet, we'll fly in the back seat and talk them through everything, but they've already seen it in the simulator. A lot of times they do very well even on their first flight, but you still have your hand on the override, to basically, keep them from wrecking the jet on the threshold of the runway when they try to land for the first time. But our students do fairly well by the time they get to that point. So there's 2 different categories of the plane. There's Cat 1 and Cat 3. Go figure. No one knows what Cat 2 is or how to get to it, but there's Cat 1 and Cat 3 configurations. So if you're in a Cat 3 configuration, that's what you see here with the targeting pod and the 2 tanks and the TURs, and it's heavier, and there's a minimum airspeed. There's G limits that apply, and it takes longer to get rid of the gas in the tanks. Usually getting the gas out of the tanks is a prerequisite to bumping up your G requirements. So it's 7 Gs until the tanks are dry, and then it increases from there. And if you have bombs on the jet, then that drops the G limits even more, so now it's generally 5.5 Gs with the bombs on. So 5.5 Gs is much different than what it was envisioned as being, clean wings, a couple of missiles, and go out and fly 9 Gs right after takeoff. Yep. With 40 minutes of gas. So this is much more of a combat configuration. But if you're going to go out and fly air to air and you start merging with people, in real life we'd punch the stores off to get it lighter, but in training you end up having to just keep your energy up. It's like a strike wheel. So
Air brakes are out on that one. That's cool.
Yeah. Speed brakes are in the back. You can't really see them. You can kind of see them in the C models if the glass is clear behind you. Some of the little turtle decks back there, the little small portion of the very back of the canopy behind the bow, some of those are opaque in certain jets. Usually you can see through them, but it's really tough to see.
That's just a hydraulic ram.
Yep, that's what you want.
Super simple. That doesn't quite look right.
Now there's different arena mounts.
Yeah.
What they'll do is once it shuts down, they can move it open by hand and check the inside of it. So a lot of times they'll come out to the jet and they'll be kind of offset like that. Usually they'll be closed, but a lot of times, sometimes they'll come out and they'll be open, and it's not a big deal. As soon as you start up, all the flight control surfaces come to life and the speed brakes are closed.
Is there a limit airspeed on opening these?
No, you can open them however you want. There is a gear down. They're limited to 43 degrees, I think, and then when the gear's up, they'll go out to 60. So we'll usually land with the speed brakes open. So at the perch, we'll hold the speed brakes open, and then when we let go, it'll reduce itself back down. We can override it with the gear down. We can override to 60, and then when we release it, it goes back to 43, which is about, it's roughly about 43. That one's at 60, about even with the top of the engine there.
Wow. And even the elevator, well, these aren't elevators, these are elevons.
Yep.
Okay, so they're unequally displaced right now, but that's capable of that. It's normal, nothing's broken.
That's right. Yep, I mean, we don't see it very often because usually if we're looking back, we're looking at somebody who's sitting there, that we're trying to defend against, or looking forward, or any number of places besides the airplane's wings. But yeah, they do split in order to help the roll rate, and the rudder automatically will jump in as needed to adjust the roll rate as well. We don't need to kick the rudder left and right every time we're making a turn.
But you should. And I can't tell. This
does not move.
This is not an aileron.
Nope, it's just this part.
And is it a flaperon?
It is a flaperon.
All right.
And this is a ventral fins here. We got one on each side, and that provides a lot of lateral stability. Talk to an engineer to see more.
Are there sensors on it, in it, talking to it, that tell the jet anything about, hey, how I'm flying?
Surely bolted on there.
Okay. I still think it's the prettiest darn jet.
I agree.
Is that all?
That's all.
All right. Let's go. Let's go to the not the museum, but the.
Yeah, let's do it.
What would they call that?
It's an air park.
Air park. Knew it had a word. Okay, so no climbing up on the jets like we're at the academy again. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we're not allowed to do that. Hey guys.
Hey guys, how are you?
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
And is this an A78?
Yeah, this is an A model. And you can see there's the smaller elevons.
Oh. How would this come off the rail? What would be the process for things releasing and stuff in here?
So there is a connector right here. So this connector, that's what talks to the jet. So this will pass the information from the sensor back to the aircraft so that you can cue it and realize whether or not it's tracking when it's still on the wing.
And that's where you get your tone from?
That's where you get the tone from, is actually drawing it from the seeker itself is what you're hearing. And then, in these early ones, and then it, when you get the consent to fire, of course it sends a signal back here to fire the rocket, and then as the rocket is firing, and eventually it pushes itself off the rail, it just shears this off as it goes. So this just hangs on, it shears the cord. When you come back in after you shoot it, the cord's just sitting there hanging, and you can pop this open. This is this is not the same rail that we have now, but basically this missile rail pops open here. It's locked right now, but you take the pin out, you open it up, and then you can get access to where it connects to the missile itself. And so you can
put a new connector on. Put the new one on. How long would it take to rearm a jet?
It's a good question. I think they can do hot rearms for just the missiles in probably, maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, because I know that they used to do, for us, they used to train to hot pit refueling, so they would connect it up, fill it with gas while it's running, and during that time, or maybe shortly afterwards, there's probably an easy process for having people show up, slide missiles back onto the rail, put the locks in place. I mean, you can't see it on any of these, but normally there's different pins and switches and settings that would be on the inside of the rail here that you would use once it's in place to lock it so it doesn't slide forward, so it doesn't slide back, so that it knows what type of missile's on the rail.
Cool.
It's your detection device. So this is where whether it's like in this case, maybe it's laser, shoots out. So as it's on the in-game portion, these lasers are active, and it's when the laser is triggered by the airplane that goes by.
It's proximity.
It's a proximity fuse. It doesn't need to actually hit the aircraft.
Just has to get close.
Yep, it gets close enough to fuse those, and then you get some sort of a damage from the proximity fuse. And of course, these are movable. Those are fixed. And then it's an IR dome here, so it's actually tracking an IR spectrum, heat-seeking, if you will.
I would assume launching a Papa is very the same as anything else.
Yeah,
Your
it'd be the
thumb
same thing.
kind of squeezes the red one. And
Yep, you'd have some sort of, you'd have it acquire track, and then you push the pick button, and then the missile comes off as in a corkscrewing sidewinder profile. No, very straightforward to shoot.
Sweet.
And yet.
All right, Spread Aviation, we're glad that you came with us on that journey. Tom, is there anything you'd like to add, inspiring words maybe for some people out there who might want to get into a career flying F-16s?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a shortage of pilots right now, and so we need people out there. Somebody watching this video is going to be out here on our flight line going through training really a lot quicker than you think. So we need you to get into aviation. We need you to be excited about it. There's a lot of neat things and a lot of it, honestly, you're not going to discover until you get into the career field and you actually get to get in the plane and see all the neat things we have going on. It's a lot of fun. It's a career that I've enjoyed for the last 10, 15 years already, and there's a lot of good guys that are coming to us for training, and we know that that out there watching this video are more guys that we need to get through the pipeline. So we're excited to see you whenever you end up showing up.
All right, excellent, Tom. Thank you very much for the tour, brother. Always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Rob.
Take care, everybody out there, and fly safe.